Hi everyone, Johnny G. McKenzie here, back to see you guys, covering another topic on the acting industry. Of course, I'm always thinking, like I said, always different topics. You guys see my great Batman shirt, as you can see. Hopefully, you're aware I'm a huge Batman fan. I think he's the coolest superhero, the best superhero. I don't know if everybody agrees. I'm sure everybody's got different ones. Superman, which I like a lot as well. I grew up watching the Superman movies, the originals with Christopher Reeve. They're amazing. Must have watched them probably. Well, I bet you I've watched them probably over 100 times by now. Part one and part two. I liked part two with the idea of the villains and everything, and through the three super villains. I liked part three as well, but I just for some reason, well, Superman's cool, but you know what? He's an alien from outer space kind of thing, and he's super powerful. Doesn't have too many weaknesses except for kryptonite, right? So it's not exactly, he's just too unbeatable. And then you have Spider-Man, which is cool too. Um, my youngest daughter was a huge Spider-Man fan. She's seen all the Spider-Man movies. I have all the Spider-Man movies as well. I have all the Superman movies. I've got all the Batman movies from the Joel Schumacher ones, the originals there, Michael Keaton, all those guys, and they got the new ones with Christian Bale as Batman, all those guys as well. The latest ones. Also got the TV series, season one of the TV series, original TV series. I grew up watching that too, so I loved that. And watching those guys, watching that show was pretty cool. Even though now you see it now, you realize how cheesy it is sometimes, but it was still great. I think all the actors in there, Burgess Meredith and Cesar Romero and all those guys, they played it like shtick, like slapstick almost. They knew it was goofy, but you can tell that they were having fun with it. But they still made it believable. It was still fun. So I got that. I also got a TV movie, one of their TV special movies of the original Batman as well. One of the long movies they have. So yeah, no, Batman's my favorite character. I'm not sure why. I think it's because he's kind of like he's more like this, I guess, playboy billionaire, and he's lives in a mansion. Got a butler. He's got the high life. He's got a wicked car with gadgets, and he's got personal gadgets that he uses. He doesn't really have a lot of superpowers, right? It's just basically he's a guy that's a black ninja. He's a fighting expert, and a normal guy that just wears a suit and has armor and has a fancy car, and he has gadgets. So and to me, I think it's that a lot of things. But also, as I'll say here, you guys will be the first to know, is I am currently actually him now. I'm playing Batman in a movie called Batman. Well, it's actually called Dark Knight and Beyond 2022. Was doing a movie with the 2023 now because we're still not finished it yet. We're up to 2023 now. We still have several scenes to still do. We only done a couple of scenes. We've been having trouble with cast a couple of times. We're still looking for another new Joker now. So Joker's in it. Batman's in it. Myself as Batman, as you see here. Got to play it. It was really cool. It's kind of post Dark Knight Rises. It's kind of sort of a sequel to that, but it's kind of not. It's also a fan film. It's going to be shot and done in Winnipeg. It's going to come out to a local theater in Winnipeg. Hopefully, um, also film festivals and things like that. Which an honor to play him. I have the suit. I have the suit here sitting in my basement. It's actually a really cool looking suit. It's been fun so far. Continuing up with that. We're recasting Joker though, so we're just in the middle of still locally casting a Joker, and that's the problem. People move on to things. Sometimes you get more than one job in the same industry, and sometimes you leave a project. Sometimes you get, sometimes you get removed from a project or you quit a project. So it's an ongoing thing. So the looks for the next perfect Joker is on the loose here, and we're gonna find him, and it's gonna be a fantastic film. It's been fun so far. I'm helping out, hopefully, in a co-producer role as much as I can. Mostly, I just want to be in it and keep in shape and keep the characters going. Going to be one of the first times in history where the Batman's doing all his own action sequences um, and fights himself, as that's what I do as well. So it's not going to be, Michael Keaton and then a stunt guy doing the fights or somebody else doing the fights. Since I'm doing everything myself, so it's going to be a lot different. Hopefully, the first time you guys are going to see a martial arts Batman rather than an actor playing him. But I know it's cool. Those guys all did amazing jobs. It's just I was lucky to get them, to get a chance to be him, and it's going to be fantastic. So anyway, that's it about this Batman and superhero stuff. My topic today specifically. um, for these acting episodes that we do and these courses, these kind of courses and theory and stuff. Which you already seen about 4 videos now, different topics. Like I said, specifically, I'm always going to pick different topics. Today, my topic is just how is movies made? What is the criteria? What's the process? I mean, we see movies in the theater, we see them on streaming live, we see them. How are they made? I mean, other than watching featurettes, right? And we see behind the scenes in featurettes, which I always study. A lot of my education is from that. Other than looking at a lot of courses online, like I said, I study with acting teachers. I've studied lots of videos online with other actors giving their secrets and best trade secrets and things, but also talking director shows online, lots of tips online, Google. So a lot of it was on the job experience because I've been doing this now since 1994 as a profession. So this amount of years. So being on set, thousands of hours on set. So learning on the job, and then with good acting teachers and acting books. I have about 4 or 5 books on it as well. Um, I got a screenwriting book. I've got a directing book. I've got acting theory books. So I've been all that thing as a whole total package as we have this level of experience and you know skills for it, and seeing directors things online. But most of it too, when I get the movies, I'm one of those guys that will always watch the feature. I'll sometimes watch the featurette, then watch the movie. It's more cool that way. But sometimes it gives the element of surprise away. So you're best to actually watch the movie first. Excuse me, and then go back and watch the featurette. Because if you watch the featurette, then you see how it was rigged, you see how it was set up. It kind of takes away from the excitement of seeing it for the first time. So I would recommend watch the movie first, and then go when it says extras, go on the extras and look for if it has a featurette. It's awesome because you get the actors' interviews, you get the director interviews, you get to see how they set the cameras, the terminologies, um, the way it's rigged, if they're blowing up something, how they did it. They have sometimes talk about the storyboarding where they're writing out the scenes, how it should look. What storyboarding is, it's just how they write out the scenes as a diagram, how they think it should look before they do it. It's like the plan, it's the written plan, you know, before they actually do the film. So it could be about that, could be about costumes, could be about sets, locations. They sometimes will talk about where they are, where they went, how they how they built a whole entire set for it, how they rigged a bridge to blow up a bridge. It's amazing. So I learned a lot from featurettes. So that's how you can learn about movies. But other than that, if you're not in film school, if you didn't go to a directing school, you didn't go to a producing directing school, you didn't go to school, then and other than featurettes, how the hell do you know how a movie's made? So the best thing is I'm going to mention it. There's literally um, three. Well, it's 3 things. It's called one pre-production, production, post-production. So 3 phases: pre-production, production, post-production. Pre-production, number one, is the planning stage. That would be um, writing. Okay, writing. So the writer wrote something. The writer wants to get his screenplay. He wrote it in the screenplay format. Wants to get it done. So pre-production phase is the writer finds somebody who wants to make it. Production company, producer. Producer sometimes will send somebody to look for scripts. They'll have a script guy to go look for a new one. People sometimes approach these producers with their script. They'll petition for them. They'll try and pitch their idea to a big time director. Sometimes some directors or producers and directors that are high up there have lots of influence, like a Steven Spielberg or Scorsese. Um, yeah, yeah, maybe Ron Howard, even guys like that, that they can do everything. So it's first written by somebody. It's either adapted from a book, a comic book, its original idea. It's based on a true story. It's just a fictional story with an original idea. It's written in a screenplay format, which they call a screenplay. It's just the format where they put the characters and they break it down. They have the lines with the actions. It's specifically formatted in a specific way for camera. They'll sometimes mention the camera details on there a little bit in the actual script with the lines and breakdown. So you have the script. Someone has the script, and they get it into the hands of a producer or director. Director producer sees if it's a good idea. You know, how much money will it make? Is it doable? What's the story? Is it a theme we're doing right now? Is it an idea we're doing right now? Did we do too many of this genre, too much of this genre already this year? Did we not? Things like that. So pre-production is all just the pre-planning stage. Really, it's all. So the director gets it, then they say they want to do it. Now the producer, as a producing point, is so you have writers, you have producers, you have directors, and then you have like the teams. The actual team is like you have a locations guy, you've got all the uh, group guys as well. But I mean, if you're looking at, so now you have the writer, he gets it to a producer or director. Say, the producer picks it up. Producer is the one that is the overall boss. They're the ones that run the show. They're the ones that hire the crews. They're the ones that sometimes hire the director. They usually hire the director. They may or may not hire the crew. The director usually hires the crew because the director is the one that directly works with the crews. He usually has the same teams. I'm sure uh, guys like Spielberg and Scorsese and Michael Mann and Michael Bay, guys like that. They have their teams. They have their favorite DOPs, their favorite, they have their DOPs. They have their camera guys. They have their assistant directors. They have their sound guys. They have their own crews. Usually they work with the same guys because they can trust them, right? They're not going to worry about mistakes being made. They're not going to worry about arguments, conflicts of interest, or anything. They're just going to have the same crews. So the producer will hire a director he feels could do the job for that genre. Then the director agrees or doesn't agree. Say the director agrees, now the producer hired the director. The producer is the director budget. There's co-producers, which is also the financiers. The financiers are also producers, but the financiers is also the big studios. So the technically producers is the studios. The studios is producers, and then there's independent producers that also put up some money or the money. So you can be a producer that is just at the financing, or you can be a producer that's just hands-on in charge of the production. So there's different producers as well. So if you're the finance company is usually the studio. So the script goes to somehow the person in charge of, say, Warner Brothers. And they look at the script and Warner Brothers approves it. So Warner Brothers will say, oh, this is a great idea. They'll give a director, say it's a budget of 50 million, so the producer will tell. So the studio will have another producer, and the producer's in charge. The producer will tell the director, say, Spielberg, hey Spielberg, we're going to make this movie. This is the title. This is the genre. This is a genre we know you can do. You have a 50 million budget. Now you have to make this movie for 50 million, and you're not supposed to go over. If you go over, they don't like it. Sometimes you get in a lot of trouble. Sometimes you'll get you can get in trouble for that. So generally, you got to meet that budget. So Spielberg agrees. He agrees on his own personal salary out of that 50 million, of course, right? Then he has an idea of what actors he wants. Sometimes a movie is made just based on the actor. So sometimes let's say that's with a condition. They'll say, we'll give you 50 million for this movie, but we want an A-list star attached to it. And Spielberg says, well, okay, well, obviously he knows hundreds of them, right? So he'll pick one, maybe he'll pick one of his favorites, maybe he'll call one of them direct, call whatever actor. He might just phone up Tom Cruise, hey Tom, can you do this movie? This is a script. They'll send Tom the script, and he either agrees or doesn't. Obviously, if someone like Tom agrees, right? Tom Cruise is the biggest movie star in the world, then obviously, for sure, Warner Brothers will give the money to Spielberg, right? Or the producer will give to uh, Spielberg, guaranteed, right? Someone like Tom Cruise is bankable, so they call which actors are most bankable. So Tom Cruise is guaranteed, right? You got lots of guys like that. Who else? A lot of times, Pacino, De Niro, Sean Penn's, your Johnny Depp's, your Denzel Washington's, these guys that have these names attached to them. We'll say, yeah, give you the money, no problem. So the money's done through the production company, which is usually the big studio heads. So that's the finances. The money comes to the producer, goes to the director. The director makes the movie within a budget. Then the director usually hires crew. His crew, like I said, the guys that are his favorites. He's paying the crew. He's paying the actors. So the actors and him agree on their salaries. through their agents. So Spielberg will call the agent or manager of the actor that he wants, or the actor directly if he's really huge and he has a really good relationship with the actor. But generally, it goes through the agents to the managers who negotiate the wages for the actors and the lower tier actors, the stars first, and then the lower tier actors, and then all the wages will be worked out. Like the cameras, 2 to 3 cameras of Panavisions, so that's about 750K each. So a couple of those for how many weeks? So I mean, he's talking about a huge budget here. Stunt guys, you get the whole teams, everything's assembled. So now this is the planning stage. They got the finances, they got the shooting schedules, how many days it's going to take, studio, how much is in the studio, how much is in location, where are they going to fly? Are they going to go to Bulgaria? Are they going to Canada? Are they sending it to somewhere in Asia? Like, where the heck are they going? Are they going to Europe? So if there's locations, then they work that into the schedule of the actors, the schedule of the budget. Then they plan. They've got locations guys finding locations. So they have a location manager who finds locations that fits the script. Locations guy gets the script. He finds out where they're going to go, where they should go. He shows pictures of the locations to the director and producers, and if they agree that it looks a nice feel of the movie, that those awesome places they found, some cabin in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by bush, but it's an amazing like hideout scene, perfect. You know, the studio, they have lots of those for already. Then they'll just do it on some lot, one of the studio lots, like a Warner Bros. Lot. They'll just do the studio stuff there, but then they have locations, they'll go into locations. So you have all locations, manager books locations. They've got the scheduler, they've got the continuity people. So now we say that the crews, the budget's in place, the script's in place, the actors are in place, the shooting schedule's in place, the locations are in place, everybody's on board. And now they make it. So that's the whole planning stage. Balancing between writing, budgeting, who's the director, and who's the cast. That is all the pre-production stage. So everything is just anything that's pre-planning, costume person, sound person, who's going to do the music, who's going to do the special effects. All that is assembled. Then we go into phase 2, which is principal photography. It's called principal photography stage. That means the actual filming. They film the movie, they do it on set. The actors show up on set or on location. They some of the 2 teams between the stunt team and the acting team. They're all on set. Directors there, producers there, usually the ADs there, the entire crew's there. And they film. And filming is photography. Now, how do you film? Film is based on a bunch of things. They do the scene from the script, not necessarily in order. So they might not go from scene 1 all the way through in the order of the script. They lots of times shoot a sequence. A sequence just means that they might do the middle part first. They might do the ending first. They might do the climax scene first take. It's crazy because as an actor, you're not going to know where you're going with it because you're going to have to know the script already in your head prior to know where you are at the end. So you have to know the beginning, the middle to do the end. So if you have everything memorized and planned, you should be able to do the ending first anyways, but it's really tough that way. Usually they'll do somewhere in the middle and then go to the beginning and go through. So when you shoot out a sequence, they're using the big Panavision cameras. They usually got 2 or 3 going at the same time, depending on the budget. Generally, the major studio films like your Transformers, your Fast and Furiouses, your huge blockbusters like that. Sometimes up to 6 of those Panavisions, 6 Panavision cameras. Imagine that. Sometimes those plus drones. Sometimes three plus a couple of drones for aerial shots, right? So, I mean, you're talking about huge budgets. You're talking like $100 million movies. So they easily can afford 6 Panavisions, right? Of course. So, but they do and then they do the shooting. The shooting is something called, they first do a master shot. So, master shot of the scene is the basic scene between the actors. They'll have the extras. As I mentioned before, I'll have the video what the extras do. So if the extras plan, the walking movement, help the structure of the scene, the lighting, the sound, they'll do the master shot. Then they do something called coverage scenes, which is also just the close-ups. So we always hear them. I was going to do the close-ups. So they'll do close-up on actor A, close up on actor B, so to be over the head, over the shoulder of actor B to A, and then over the shoulder of the other guy. So it's called over the shoulder shots. So they got a master shot, then you do the close ups, over the shoulder shots. Then you can do tight shots, called choker shots. It's because it's neck face. They want to go really close coverage. Then you can do real exactly close up as well, extra close up. They do all the coverage scenes. They do usually one or two. They usually do this scene 2 or 3 times because they'll do different angles. So they'll reverse it. So they'll move the cameras all the way around, reset up. So you have a couple more hours to reset up again. They'll reset. They'll shoot it a reverse way. So they'll do each scene a couple times. Then you do the close-up scenes. Then once that scene's totally done, boom, it gets canned for the day. It's put away. That's your dailies for that day. For that part of it's the dailies. The dailies is just what you shot for the day. You can go back and see it sometimes later on that day if you want to see it, or if you want to see your scene done right after. Some actors like to see what they've done right after. I tend to do that, ask for that. I like to see it because I want to see how it looks. Curious, right? If you're happy with it. Then we do the next scene, we do the next scene. So that's production stage. Production is just they film all the scenes, pretty much in that order. Master, close-ups, master, close-ups. If they have to rig a stunt, they'll rig the stunt. They have to rig an explosion, then they'll rig the explosion. They'll do that. The stunt teams do stunts. So if the actor's doing acting and then they have a stunt, so you'll see the stunt double sometimes, foreground or in the scene. Then you see the actor. We'll cut it all up in those and cut it up in those ways. Really, hopefully you don't see the stunt guy too much. You only see the actor and you see a stunt and then it's meshed together. They add the sounds. Sometimes you might have to go in for extra voiceover and audio. Sometimes extra. Sometimes you like ADR or voiceover, extra stuff. So that stuff, that's British photography stage. That's the filming of the scenes. In a nutshell, that's you film the masters, the close-ups. You combine the stunts with the music. You combine the stunts right in it all, and then that's principal photography stage. It's basically the shooting of the movie. Third stage, and this is where everything else is done, post-production. So now they take all the film scenes, all the scenes. It's probably digital, so they got this whole thing, bunch of mixed up scenes in no particular order. Post-production, all those clips are sent to an editor, film editor. Sometimes the film editor is the director. Most directors, big-time directors, are hands-on with that because they want to make sure their vision is their vision. Their vision doesn't become something totally butchered and then someone else's vision, or the person's not a really experienced editor, and they didn't get the right theme or tempo of the movie right, and it's mashed up a different way, or they accidentally took the biggest part of the point of the movie or something. Somehow that happened, right? So guys like Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, one of the big ones are usually their own editors. So the director will take his camera film, his big thing of clips, and we'll sit in the editor room. He'll clip it together in the order that he wants it, from beginning to end. That's where he'll add the credits. He'll put the credits in, he'll mash it into the order that he wants based on it. Sometimes if it's running too long, because they'll have a running time. So if they want the movie to be maximum, say 2 hours and 5 minutes, but he's got 2.5 hours of footage. He's got, that's what editing is for. He's going to edit some stuff that he doesn't necessarily need. That will just be in the, they call it the cutting room floor. So I'll just edit down to his 2 and 5 based on his vision. He's happy with that. And that's where he adds, like I said, he adds the credits. This is where he adds the music. So whatever music company or music composer is there that he hired will add the music. He'll get to see the film version, and then the music person will get an idea of the feel of it. He'll be given instructions on the kind of music they want. This part might be some heavy rock. This part is like jazz. This part is classical. This part is more soft, endearing music. This part is high energy music, for instance, right? So he has to know those themes. Then he adds the music. You have this, yeah, actually the sounds already, the small sounds already there. They might add the extra sound, like I said, the voiceovers, the DVRs added to, ABRs added to it, add the music, and all that is mashed together. You got all post production. All post is everything. Is everything after you're done filming a movie. Is anything to do with that is post. Um, let's say like so adding music, adding everything, get the finished product, even scheduling release dates. Is it going to go in the theater? Which company is going to put it in the theater? Which theaters is going to go? Is it going to go worldwide? Is it Canadian based? Is it North American based? Is it worldwide? You know, how many movie theaters is it going to go? How many viewings are we going to show? You know, so that's part of it too. And I was distributing it, something called distribution. Now, when the movie's done, you got to get a company that wants to distribute it, who will pay for the rights to put it on the theater. There's usually, I believe, 1 to 2 million in cost, 1 to 2 million to put a movie in the theater. So that's worked out in the budget, the costs. So the distribution companies is like Sony Pictures, Lionsgate's big one. You'll see lots of Lionsgate, Casino Credits, Lionsgate. So it always will show you when you watch the credits. When the movie opens up, you'll see the big Warner Brothers banner or the big Lionsgate. Those are your distribution companies too. They're the ones that are putting the movie in the theater. They're assuming the risk of putting it in the theater. So it's interesting how the profit works. So now you've got it planned in the theater, you've got a release date, and then also part of post is what rating is it? Is it general? Is it PG? Is it rated R? Is it rated X? Is it rated sometimes and NC-17, whatever, right? Is it PG general? So the studio heads and the director and everybody else, the producers, they negotiate and talk about the rating that they think it should be based on the content. You know, is there swears? Is there nudity? Is there adult content? Is there drug use? Is there too much fights? Is there too much violence? Is there too many killings? You know, depending on what's in the movie. You know, so there's that. So there's the ratings. There's the set dates. There's theater dates. There's the who's putting out in the theater, how many locations. You know, is it going to be multiple theaters in the same cinema? Which ones you want to go? You're going to go to Cineplex Odeon. You're going to go to, some of the other ones. And then that's post-production. Anything that has to do with doing final touches and getting the movie actually seen around the world is everything post-production. And the interesting breakdown and profit is, okay, whoever puts the movie out, the distribution company, gets the bulk of the share of the profits, and whoever is the financiers. So sometimes the financiers is also the distribution company. So someone like, so they get the bulk of the profits, and then whoever's the under producers that are running it also get a big chunk of it. And then that is it, because the actors and the directors were already paid, right? All the crews, everybody's already paid. There's no other money. There's just whoever distributes it gets the bulk of it. Whoever gave the financing gets the bulk of it as well. Sometimes they're the same people. Sometimes it's two different people. That's why you'll get something like big name actors that are also producers, executive producers, or they co-own the rights to the franchise. And then that's huge because now their salary went up totally huge. Um, so let's see, for example, um, Tom Cruise. Again, we mentioned Tom Cruise again, but Tom Cruise owns the rights to the franchise of the Mission Impossible series. Him and Paul Wagner. So they're joint partners. So they own it. So they get the bulk of the profit. But Tom is also the actor. So did he get a fixed salary first? Made the movie, and then he's going to get a percentage of the profits when it's done? Or is he just going to hold off a percentage of the profits, which a lot of times he will? In his case, he'll probably likely not take a salary as the actor. Sometimes you do both. You get the salary and then that, but he's already has enough money that he's already big enough that he doesn't need the salary up front. So he'll likely just waive the salary and then take percentage of the profits. So the profits are shared between. So say Mission Impossible now is next one. Say it comes on the news. Disney mentioned it. It made 150 million. Say it made 200 million. For example, okay, so the movie made 200 million. Whoever put it in the movie theater, the distribution company, the studio gets the bulk of that. So they'll say 200 million, the studio gets that, the distribution company gets that. Then they're going to look at Paul Rudd and Tom Cruise will say, okay, they get, for instance, 10% of the profits. So they split 10% of 200 million. That's a big payday, right? 20%, 30%. It's pretty big, right? Obviously, his profits through his salaries through the roof, right? So it was better for him to do that as the producer than worry about acting salary. If he gets both, it's great too, right? So they're producers, so they're producers of the productions. They're the owners of the productions. But the studio, the financiers, are the ultimate boss. And the studio heads are the ultimate bosses of the film. So they're above the producers because they're the financiers. It's their money on the line. So they get the bulk of it back. That's why Hollywood doesn't want to lose money on film. That's why they say if you're bankable, that means you're making the studios lots of money. And also the distribution company gets a huge amount because they're the ones that put in the theater in the first place. The other example of that is Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel owns the rights to Fast and Furious. He was able to get his hands on the rights to the movie, so he's the main boss of that production. He's the main guy. He can fire the actors if he wants. He can fire a director if he wants. He can place them if he wants, and he gets the bulk of production. So that's why you see his net worth is up. So again, same thing. Fast and Furious makes 200-300 million. The studio makes this amount. He gets a percentage of profits. So you always heard that term: percentage of profits plus salary, or just percentage of profits. So either or, depending on what they work out with between their agent manager with the studio heads and the directors or production companies. So that's how the movie's broken down. Usually, financiers get paid. The financiers get paid first. Their budget, back their amount. The distribution company gets paid back, and the producers share the profits. Whoever owns the production, whoever's the boss of the project, and whoever owns the rights of the project with the percentages. And then the actors and directors, everybody else was already paid. So they might have worked out a deal to already pay everybody else beforehand. So that's your 3 phases of a movie being made from pre-production, production, post-production. Movies get made based on a number of ways as well. Just a quick recap: based on which Hollywood stars attached to the film. Are they bankable or not? That will determine the budget. They'll spend unlimited funds. So those $100 million budgets, those $200 million budgets, are usually for, the biggest names you hear from. Like I said, your Tom Cruises, your Johnny Depps, your really big household name guys. They will give those people money for those kinds of guys because they know they never lose money, and those guys make the money. Look at Top Gun Maverick. Look at the money he made based on the budget. I bet you it's already made its money back plus then some, right? If it's an independent film, and then so there's the other difference now. So now let's put in a quick difference on what's a studio theatrical release movie compared to what is an independent film. So an independent film is any professional film made where you're paying actors, crew, directors. You still have an original script, original story idea from an independent writer that wants to get his idea out. A director, producer likes the idea and buys the script from him. They make the script themselves. The writer gets paid a salary, whatever negotiated price for his script, and that's his salary. Then that's it. He's done. He doesn't get a percentage of the profits. He's bought out for his script. Producer comes up with financiers. He has to take the script and still finance it around to financiers, and the the ones who want to put up the money. So he's still, so that guy who now owns the script, usually the director or producer has to go. The producer can put some of his own money into it. That's what the producer still is. But he still doesn't have all the funds. So he has to go look for co-producers, which are the financiers. So you have producers that are financiers, and you got producers that are production, producers that run the production, the shooting schedule, the timing, the days it's running, the everyday, the day-to-day operations, organizing catering, organizing the costume, organizing all the staff. You're the one keeping the ball rolling, right? So he still has to go with his financiers. They see the script, they give him the budget, where the budget is. All it means is, and some of these independent films, by the way, guys, are way better sometimes than the studio, Hollywood studio films, the big blockbusters. But let's face it, we've seen it. You see it at the Academy Awards every year, where they have 3 or 4 gems, right? That win Academy Awards, Best Picture, best story, and most times. How often are they independent films? Lots of times, right? They're not big Hollywood studio film. The blockbusters are not even nominated. Most times, unless they're only nominated for visual effects or sound. Usually, you'll see them only usually there for sound and visual effects, right? Because of course they're huge blockbusters. But generally, for best picture and story, original screenplays and stuff, it's usually independent films. So independent films are golden and they're great. There's some amazing actors that do both. They'll jump from a theater movie to a direct-to-video film. There's 2 types of independent films now, as I just mentioned. So you have an independent film that can still make the movie theater if they can get it financed. If still someone like Lionsgate wants to take a chance on a smaller film, a smaller, not a big studio head-led movie, if they really love the script, they love the story, and they've really seen the final version of it, and they think it could work to put it in the theater, then they'll still do it in the theater. Like I said, usually $1 to $2 million to put a movie in the theater. So you either pay that cost up front, get more of the profit at the end, or you let the company pay it. They get the bulk of the profits, and you just get a percentage of the profits as the producers. So you have independent films that can still make the theater, but then you have independent films that are even smaller budget than that go called a B movie. It's direct to video. Direct to videos get a lot of slack for being direct to videos. People make fun of them, say, "Oh, it's just a B movie." But some of those you see streaming live on Netflix and all these places are gems. You watch it, you say it's an unbelievable film. A lot of times no-name actors, guys you never heard of. It's not even one A-list actor. Sometimes not even one big-name actor. Although that's changing. I'm seeing a lot of those direct streamings on Netflix and Prime, where there's one lead actor that's big. You've seen it probably now. Last while, Nicolas Cage, great, huge movie star, and huge big blockbusters in the past, right? I think I've seen on Netflix probably 7 movies, all direct to videos, all direct to video streaming. Some of them are great, some of them weren't so great, but I mean, he's in like 9 movies. He's still making great money, and he's still seen everywhere. But that just means that it's direct streaming, or it's going direct to DVD release. That just means that it's going to be directly put in, Walmart, Superstore, Sound of Music, all the sound record stores, all those places, all the video, HMVs, whatever you still have those. But just basically going direct to the stores, on the shelves, to Walmart's, just going to go direct to the store. When you walk in Walmart, you see the new movies that are out. You'll see it sitting on the shelf. Right? And you say, "Oh, this wasn't in the theater, but look at this," and you'll grab it. All it means is it's just a small budget, and for whatever reason, good or bad, a company just didn't want to take a chance with it. Doesn't mean it was bad at all. It's just they didn't really want to put it on. Too many not big enough people. Like if it's all no-name actors, especially, not many companies will put that on. They want at least one big name attached. That's why these independent films, these B movies, will get guys like Nicolas Cage, and you see Bruce Willis does it lots now. I've seen other big names. Al Pacino's even done a couple. Guys like that. Van Damme's done many of them. Seagal's done many of them. Mel Gibson's done some of them. But because the movie can still get made with a household name, if it's a B movie, and people still look at it, because people still go for sure rent it. If you're a fan of the person and it's a B movie, you'll still rent it because it's your favorite actor. You're gonna still see it no matter what. You don't care if the rest of the actors are no names, because your favorite actor's already in it, so you're still gonna rent it or stream it or go buy it at Walmart, take it off the shelf and buy it at Walmart for $15-$16 because your favorite actor's in it. So the company is still gonna make their money back at some point with having even a direct-to-video movie. So As a working actor, I think you should just be happy that you're working. If you can do both and make a living, that's great. Like between B movies, theatrical release movies, of course you want to do some big studio filming because you're seen all around the world. You're not just seen through streaming, right? It's a very specific rate that the households have to be streaming you to see you, or they have to be going to the video store to buy your movie, or you have to go to Walmart to buy your movie, right? They have to be physically be there to see you because they have to want to buy the movie. Then, you know what I mean? It's not as much exposure as it. You're in 200 theaters, 300 theaters, or thousands of theaters across the world. Even if you're seen a few times and you have some lines, you're going to still be seen around the entire world, right? So that's why you want theatrical release movies. But those directed videos are still great movies. So you have, so that's basically how movies work, how movies are made, and the different kinds of movies. You basically have studio theatrical release movies. You have independent films that make the theater, and you got independent films that don't make the theater. B movies, action B movies are just a regular direct-to-video movie. So it's either you call it a B movie or you call it a direct-to-video movie. Either way. But those are the three types that you have. And then you have even smaller than that. It's just like festival made films or student films, some student university projects. Student films. Those are like usually like zero budget too, like just $1,000 or something. That's just usually that's just somebody just trying to get experience, just trying to get something made to get their work seen by somebody of influence. Have friends see it, family see it. They want to try on a film festival award. Sometimes that's because of that. There's those kinds of films, student films, independent features that way. You've got also something called independent features. You've got independent shorts. Shorts is a real short film because they have short film festivals as well, where they only give you maximum 20 minutes. So again, same format though. You write a small script. You write it for about roughly 20 pages or so. You still shoot it with your crew, your actors, or wherever you can get. Most of the time, it's volunteer actors because it's such a small shoestring budget, and the actors are doing it for the experience, to build a resume. When you first start out, you might have to do that because you want to build that resume. You want to be seen somewhere, anywhere, right? Then they have independent features. Same thing. You might even do a feature for no money if you're starting out because they don't have the budget. And again, you have to build a resume from somewhere. You can't have an empty resume with 0 credits. So you have to have something. So at the beginning, it's good to make sure that you're at least doing even some independent films. So you got shorts, you got features, you got independent, you got students. You also got documentaries. That's been on topics. You got documentary films. Those are huge. Those stream on TV. You've got another category made for TV specials. That's like your hallmarks, stuff like that. Movie of the weeks. So that's a movie budget again from the company itself. So Hallmark itself is now there are the financiers. There you go. So Hallmark technically is the production house. They're production. They're the financiers. So they're the bosses. So Hallmark gives the budget to a production company that has the cameras, the crews, the people, and the know-how. So they'll hire a company, another company. That company is the producers. They handle the budget. They hire the director. They hire an audition with the actors, directed, actors cast through casting directors. Casting directors will audition the actors based on what the producers and the directors want. And then they all work together and they make the film. So you also have movies of the week. You've got TV specials. You've got documentaries. You've got all kinds of documentaries from bands telling their life story. Sometimes documentaries on actual environmental topic. It could be about animals. It could be a documentary about the world events, documentaries, global issues, things of nature. So yeah, that's basically all the different films and mediums that you have. And of course, you've got TV shows and TV series, TV shows, that's in the movies. That's a whole different medium. You can go specifically into the different types of TV shows, which we might do next time. But yeah, so for now, that's it. Basically, movies are made by 3 different ways, 3 steps: pre-production, principal photography, production, and then post-production. And that's pretty much how they're made. And like I said, I already discussed different types of films and things like that. So yeah, no, it's It's good talking to everybody, and I'll be back with a segment of something else again, another topic. Maybe we'll do something on film studies or something specifically, break down an actual film, and we can talk about it. Maybe we'll watch it and talk about it or something like that next as well. So yeah, thanks everybody for being on here, and we'll talk to everybody again. So this is Johnny J. McKenzie signing out, man.